Let's go to South Africa next, where the ruling ANC party has just adjourned talks on the future of President Cyril Ramaphosa. Now, this follows a damning report at his private game farm in 2020, which suggested that the president may have committed serious misconduct. Mr. Ramaphosa has denied any wrongdoing. From Johannesburg, we're joined now by William Gumede, Professor of Politics and the chairperson of the Democracy Works Foundation, which works to promote and strengthen democracy and its institutions. Great to have you talking to us. We were expecting a bit more from that meeting with the ANC today. It's adjourned after just an hour. If I can start by just getting your reaction to that.
Thank you for having me. I think what has happened with the ANC's National Committee met for an hour, and I think they all will now look at the recommendations from this independent panel, and then they will be, getting legal advice before, they come back together and make the final decision. But what is clear is that, President Ramaphosa is in a very sticky situation. It is very likely that he will resign, or will, if he doesn't resign, will be pushed out, or if he still stays on, that, he will be impeached, or there will be a process of impeachment in Parliament, which he is likely to lose.
So it happens. And his future is now in the ANC's hands, in the party's hands. But is that a united party or a divided one?
I mean, yesterday, the report here in South Africa, yesterday, Ramaphosa was prepared to resign, but then his political allies, in the ruling party, lobbied him not to resign and to rather wait for a bigger meeting of the ANC so that they can discuss it. Now, the dilemma for Ramaphosa and for the ANC is that, Ramaphosa, despite the controversies around him, in the country is still more popular than the ANC. And if he goes, really, there will be a crisis in the ANC itself, electoral crisis. I mean, some of the numbers, some of the internal, some of the polling here, the surveys the last couple of months has shown that Ramaphosa has at least 10% more appeal than the ANC as a party. And we have our next national elections is in 2024. And if Ramaphosa is not the head of the ANC, it's very likely that the ANC will drop below 40% in the elections and that the party will be in opposition. And if Ramaphosa is the head of the ANC, and it was before the scandal, some of the polling showed that the ANC would have still gotten below the 50%, but it would get a majority, still something like around 45%, and it would be able to have a coalition with smaller parties. So Ramaphosa's future is under scrutiny, but also the ANC's future is also under scrutiny.
That's very interesting that you point out that President Ramaphosa is actually more popular than his own party, with approval rating that's 10% higher. So what calculations does the ANC have to make here? If President Ramaphosa goes, where could the party go? Where does their future lie?
The problem now with the ANC is President Ramaphosa is one of the last of the generation of the early 90s generation with Mandela, who negotiated a transition from apartheid to democracy. So he's one of the last people in the ANC that has, cross-racial support and also support outside the ANC. There's no one with his authority and his credibility. The second very strong, skill of Ramaphosa is that he's been able to hold a very fractious party together. No one else, none of the leaders, below him have that ability. So there's also a real danger when Ramaphosa goes that the ANC will plunge into turmoil, fights between different factions, and that will also plunge the South African state and economy and society into turmoil until we have a national election where the voters can decide whether they still want the ANC in power or whether they want to go for the opposition parties.
So currently this drama is playing out in political circles, but I wonder, Professor, what does the public make of this?
I mean, there's some people, because Ramaphosa is seen in South Africa as less corrupt as many of the ANC leaders, and some, there is arguments in among the grassroots ANC supporters that perhaps, that Ramaphosa could have done wrong, but he didn't steal from the state, and there are more corrupt people in the ANC. That's one argument. But there's a second really argument is all of the competitors of Ramaphosa within the ANC, they are seeing this is their opportunity to unseat, Ramaphosa and obviously get into the leadership of the ANC. So they are mobilizing their supporters in the ANC. So all of Ramaphosa's opponents are mobilizing grassroots support against Ramaphosa. And then obviously there's also the opposition groups in South Africa. I mean, they see the opportunity. If Ramaphosa goes, it will, for the first time, open up South Africa's political space for the opposition parties actually to get into power at a national level.
An intense political battle going on there. Thank you very much for giving us your perspective, Professor William Gumede. Thank you.
Thank you.